Hi, my name is Sandy Brown, and I am the Director of Curriculum Instruction and the Title III Director for the Seaside School District in Oregon. And this year, this is our presentation for the EL Achieve Symposium of April 2021. So our presentation this year was to be about sharing with you our third year of scaling up, integrating constructing meaning to all systems of our instruction. However, of course, it ended up being a year of adaptation, learning to adapt constructing meaning strategies to digital learning or digital instruction. And we really then did appreciate EL Achieve's training videos on administering digital lessons and using constructing meaning, the units and materials that they provided for us. So thank you again for that. But as far as us sharing something useful with you today regarding constructing meaning strategies, this probably isn't the year. However, I do like to share because I like other people sharing ideas with us. And so I am going to share about how constructing meaning fits into our response to intervention program. And really, constructing meaning is a small part of this presentation, but I thought it would be maybe interesting to at least some of you. So our problem of practice was that too many ELD students were being identified as special education students. And we have been to many trainings over the years, done research on what are the best ways to making sure that we're determining language versus learning. And of course, nobody has the magic solution. And although even though some people claim to have that, they certainly don't. And neither do we. But I should say before we start that we did work on a plan for our district. We call it a data summary matrix. And we worked on it with our special services director, as well as our school psychologist and our speech language pathologist, to really try to come up with a way to really make sure we had a full picture of a student before we move forward on any identification procedures. So before I do that, share that with you, I wanted to make sure that you knew that what our Rti process looked like, and it looks probably exactly like everybody else's, but just in case, we have the core instruction, and after a universal screening, we look at the lowest 20% of the students who are performing at lowest 20% in reading, and provide interventions for them, whether that's a push-in intervention or it is a pull-out intervention. And so students experience, if they need it, increasingly intensive interventions as they go along. And at some point in time, they go to what we call an IST meeting, or their parents actually come to the IST meeting with all the instructors involved, and they make a plan for a third intervention. It's possible that non-ELD students at that point in time who are continuing not to make progress then might be involved in another IST meeting, which might lead to what's called a referral management team meeting or a special education referral. But non-ELD students always have to have at least one more intervention, one more try on that, one more 6-week minimum attempt at intervening. Because we know that this really, once a student kind of gets to this point right here, then it's very possible that they then get referred on. If the referral appears to be a good referral, it goes on to the evaluation planning team, and then goes for eligibility meeting, and then an IEP planning meeting. So we really wanted to make sure that we really did a good job of checking here. Did we do all of the things that we could possibly do to be sure that this ELD student, had every opportunity to move forward, and that we truly do suspect a learning issue and not just a language issue. So what we came up with was this data summary matrix, and it is a Likert scale for a number of characteristics. And so the first two have to do with reading and writing, and we look at the scores, the ELPA summary scores, ELPA summary form scores, and we look at to see if the student shows no or little, shows no gain or a loss, in fact, shows little gain, shows expected gain, shows slightly more than expected gain, or shows significant gain. And we do the same for writing. And then we also do the same for a number of other areas. Of course, speaking, the same Likert scale. Listening on the OPA, same Likert scale. And then we also take a look at their growth in the acculturation quick screen, the Catherine Collier assessment. It's one that we do when students arrive in their very first year or very first month that they arrive at school in the US. And we look to see if they show a little gain there, some gain, expected gain, slightly more than expected, or significant gain. And there's some measurements on the AQS that you can plop into those 5 areas. Then we also look to see how long a student's been in the Rti process, whether it's a push-in or a pull-out model. And so 36 weeks, 30 weeks, 24 weeks, 18 weeks, or only 12 weeks. If they're only in 12 weeks, they're probably not a great candidate at all for a referral. So how many increasingly intense interventions has a student received? Again, the title teacher, whether it's a push-in or pull-out model, the title teacher will have that data for us. Was it 6 complete intervention cycles, 5 intervention cycles, 4, 3, or 2? And then, is a student performing at or near his or her level of classroom peers for reading? And we look at STAR data for our Francis and Pinnell data for that. Are they well below the level of classroom peers, below the level, at level, above level, well above the level? And so there are some decision rules about how you fall into those areas. And then the thing that we added this last year was, is a student performing at or near the level of a true peer for reading? And we're not a huge school district, so it's not always easy to find this, but we try to find a true peer for the student, a student with a similar profile in terms of their age, grade level, how long they've been in the country, how long they've been in ELD, or how long they've been in in the title program, those sorts of things. So we look at that and we compare their progress. And then we also look at the grade level of the student. Is the student 4th grade or higher, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, or kindergarten? And you notice the kindergarten has an asterisk behind it because there are some more in-depth questions specifically for kindergarten that we look at as well, because that's pretty early to be identifying somebody. It's possible, certainly, but it's pretty early. And we also look at the number of years in U.S. schools a student's been in as well, between 4 or higher, 3 or 4 years, 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years, or less than 1 year. And is the classroom here's where constructing meaning comes in. Is a classroom teacher using elementary constructing meaning strategies consistently, frequently, often, but randomly, some, and never? And so those are the things that we look at. And what we do is then we make a visual of that student in color. And this is, if you're familiar with ION or other data warehouses, this is sort of like creating a data wall for the student. So we can take a look at how the big picture kind of how a student is doing. As you can see, this student is doing well in speaking and listening and in acculturation. However, the reason for the potential referral is their reading and or their writing. And if we look at the other characteristics of this decision rule, we look at the student has had a lot of opportunity for intervention and has, despite constructing meaning being used consistently in the classroom, despite being in the school district for a number of years, etc., the student still is not making progress. And so this might be then what we would consider to be a good referral to the referral management team to take another look at it, of course, with the parent involved and all the specialists involved as well. So then I should add too that at that point, if it does go on to the beyond the referral management team to the special education planning, then it's possible then that with the parent permission that the speech language pathologist would give the self-assessment, and that helps determine how a student's doing not only in the English language, but also how they're doing in both their home language as well as the English language, and comparing those scores together. So that is what I want to share with you today, the data summary matrix. It is by no means the be all to end all, but it has really shown us in the 2 years we've had it to be working for us. And of course, as I said, one of those years was the pandemic, but initially we did see a slowdown in the number of students who are coming to us as referrals for special education. And so we will, of course, need to see it in practice longer to really know whether it's really helping us or not. But in the meantime, we wanted to share it with you. And if you have any thoughts about it, any concerns about it, or any ideas about it that you want to share with us, then that would be great. We'd love to hear from you. Again, my name is Sandy Brown. I'm with the Seaside School District, and my email address is sbrown@seasidek12.org. Thank you very much.